Sometimes people don't return through messages or footsteps. They return through feelings. You wake up thinking about them for no clear reason. Their presence lingers in silence. And even when life moves forward, something inside you keeps whispering their name. This isn't a weakness, and it isn't a coincidence. Psychology tells us that some connections don't end when people leave. They pause. They wait. They stay unfinished inside the subconscious. When emotions are left unresolved, the mind keeps the door open, even when the heart pretends it's closed. You might feel stronger now, more aware, more healed, and strangely, that's when they start coming back. You might feel stronger now, more aware, more healed, and strangely, that's when they start coming back, as Carl Jung once said. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. What you're experiencing isn't fate returning, it's meaning resurfacing. And these 7 signs reveal exactly why they're being drawn back to you now. Sign 1. The emotional thread was never cut. When someone truly leaves your life, their emotional energy fades quietly. But when they keep returning, in thoughts, dreams, or emotional waves, it means the thread was never fully cut. Psychology explains this as emotional incompletion. Something was left unsaid, unfelt, or unresolved, and the mind hates unfinished stories. It keeps replaying them until meaning is found. This is where the connection begins again, not externally, but internally. Plato once said, "Nothing ever ends beautifully unless it ends with meaning." Their return doesn't start with action. It starts with awareness. You feel calm thinking about them now, not desperate, not attached. That calmness is important because it leads to the second sign. When emotional chaos settles, memory turns into clarity, and clarity becomes a signal. Sign 2. They sense your emotional shift. People don't come back when you chase them. They come back when you stop needing them. At a subconscious level, humans are deeply sensitive to emotional shifts. When you release attachment, your energy changes, and that change is felt even in silence. This is why they begin to sense you again after you let go. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently." When you stopped emotionally aligning with their absence, you became different, and difference creates curiosity. Curiosity creates pull. This emotional sensing awakens something in them, which leads directly to the third sign. Sign 3. Their past begins to speak louder than their present. When someone moves on without healing, time becomes loud. Memories don't fade, they mature. As life challenges them, your presence in their past starts to represent safety, understanding, or truth they haven't found elsewhere. Sigmund Freud once observed, "Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and come forth later in uglier ways." Their return is not about missing you. It's about missing who they were with you. This realization doesn't push them toward you immediately. First, it creates inner conflict, which brings us to the fourth sign. Sign 4. Guilt turns into reflection. At first, people justify leaving. Later, they question it. When reflection replaces defense, guilt transforms into awareness. They start reviewing moments, words, choices, and your absence becomes noticeable. Søren Kierkegaard said, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." This backward understanding opens emotional doors they thought were closed, and once reflection begins, emotional gravity follows. This gravity pulls them closer, emotionally first, then mentally, leading to the fifth sign. Sign 5. You become a symbol, not a person. At this stage, you stop being someone they knew. You become a symbol of emotional truth, They don't just remember you, they measure their life against you. Peace, depth, connection. Carl Jung explained. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. But now they can't avoid it because you represent that soul mirror. And when someone sees themselves clearly for the first time, movement becomes inevitable, which leads to the sixth sign. Sign 6. Resistance turns into desire. They may resist contacting you, they may delay action, but resistance is proof of internal desire. The more they try to suppress the pull, the stronger it grows. Psychology calls this emotional rebound, suppressed feelings seeking expression. Rumi wrote, "What you seek is seeking you." At this point, the return is no longer accidental, it's intentional, and intention sets the stage for the final sign. Sign 7. They return not to repeat, but to understand. When they finally come back, emotionally or physically, it's different. They're quieter, more honest, less certain, because this time they're not returning to possess, they're returning to understand, Aristotle said. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Their return isn't about rewriting the past, it's about facing it, and whether this leads to closure, clarity, or reunion, the purpose is growth, because not everyone comes back to stay. Some come back to complete the story. Final message. Not everyone who comes back is meant to stay. Some return to teach you how much you've grown. Some return to show you what you no longer need. And some return simply because the connection was never meant to end in confusion. If someone is coming back into your awareness, don't rush the meaning. Let clarity arrive before emotion. If someone is coming back into your awareness, don't rush the meaning. Let clarity arrive before emotion, because the real lesson isn't about them returning, it's about who you've become without them. And once you see that clearly, you'll understand whether their return is a blessing, a lesson, or a quiet goodbye.